guys hear me if I'm back here? Yes. Yeah. Okay. My poem is called On Celebrating. I used to collect stickers. I plastered them on the bookshelf next to my bed. My favorite one was from my mom. It was big, and it was bold, and it was blue, and it was beautiful. It read, "I love Israel. I want peace. I am a Zionist." I have been a Zionist since before I knew what the word meant. My first memories of Israel are sweet. We drew the isosceles triangle border in black icing, dropped a blue M&M for the Dead Sea, 2 for the Kinneret. No one told us how to draw the Green Line or Gaza, only sweetness. My Israel was handed to me on a silver platter. I grew up in a secular American household. Mom and Dad talked about Israel as their happily ever after, a fairy tale land where they spent the best years of their lives. And with each passing year of mine, they told me a little more, like why we couldn't draw Israel with straight lines, and why some maps called it Palestine, and why my grandmother said she hated Arabs, and what an Arab was, and why peace was something to want and not something to have. But I didn't pay that much attention. I brushed them off like crumbs, instead choosing to shape my own Israel, full of JCC songs, blue and white balloons, singing Hatikva at camp, teaching my sister the Aleph Bet. After all, I love Israel. So I want peace. I am a Zionist. I turned 17 the day I stepped on my first El Al flight. I imagined stepping off the plane into a country where everyone's hair was as curly as mine, where they spoke Hebrew in every line, where I felt God in every sign. I turned 17 the day Eyal, Gilad, and Naphtali were found dead. I blew out the candles on my birthday cake, wished for a Hamsa necklace, elephant harem pants, and a naot tan, while Israelis and Americans mourned the loss of 3 teenagers, and whispers of a third intifada began. So began my first experience in Israel. We landed in Ben Gurion, and our trip turned upside down. No Tel Aviv, no Haifa, no touring Sderot. The first time I told my friends back home that I was in a bomb shelter, I thought I was really cool. But slowly, the rockets popped the blue and white balloons, rained sprinkles down on my expectations. My counselors were called up to the Army Reserves, but I couldn't believe they canceled our trip to the Naot factory. I love Israel, and I am a Zionist, but I want to go home. I tried to rationalize this Israel of fear with my sugar-sweet country made in icing. This fairy tale land turned scary real. I started sobbing uncontrollably. I couldn't breathe the air. I didn't understand. I was stuck to my ideas of what Israel should be. I didn't know. I returned home from that summer confused. The Iron Dome could protect Israel from rockets, but it couldn't bring back what it used to be for me. I reorganized my room and put the stickered bookshelf away from my bed. But I wore the Hamsa I bought in Spot and the elephant harem pants. Smiled when people asked me about my trip. You've watched them nod sympathetically when I told them I was there during Operation Protective Edge. You have got to go back, they said. See the country when there isn't a war. And maybe that's true, but I don't think we get to pick the Israel that we choose to love. And the whole thing seemed so ridiculous to me, like a cake and 2 kids. I want this piece, said the Palestinians, and I want this one, said the Jews, and everyone wants that giant rose made of icing. I decided I would reshape my Israel. And over the next 2.5 years, I collected materials. Stockpiled sticks of Hatikva, collected cups of Camp Hebrew, a dash of my best Israeli friend, a sprinkle of my dance troupe. But with the sweet came the sour. Hard candies for a government I don't always support. Expired milk full of ideas so old they're curdling the whole. And flames that I can't blow out as more yahrzeit candles are added to the cake. Now, I think referring to Israel's conflict as cake is a metaphor that I outgrew when I turned 17. I returned to Israel in January on birthright, and it still doesn't feel like home. But this time, when I stood on a hill and saw Sderot on one side and Gaza on the other, I could hear voices from both sides, and I wiped the sickly sweet icing from my eyes. Because if we hand this country to our children on a silver platter, we have to be prepared for them to catch it once the platter shatters. I lost track of the bookshelf with the sticker, but I don't need it anymore. I love Israel. I want peace, and I am a Zionist. Here, an Israeli flag hangs from my window. Sometimes it blocks out the light, but I don't take it down. It is big, it is bold, it is blue, and it is beautiful. Thank you.